There you are. Hi.
Yes, I am.
Good.
And good afternoon or good evening or good morning for people that are in the United States. So it's really quite a pleasure to be here and see so many names in the list of participants. I guess it's the next best thing to being there in 2020. So
Yeah, it's good to hear, Carol. Yeah, of course, you have quite a background in your role now, also in ICEAA, but also in IFWork and other areas, and in your own company. That you have just a short introduction. Carol is the founder of the CEO of Quality Plus Technologies. I think you have now wearing a shirt with some name of your company, and yeah, I think one of the experts. Yeah, a lot of titles what you have, but one of the experts in sizing, her former president of IFWork. And yeah, I said earlier that ICEAA changed the direction for the SCEBoK, where we worked together. Carol was involved. A lot of people were involved, where we worked together as volunteers. And finally, they said, okay, we will identify one person who will take the lead there and will be the editor. And yeah, they came up with the name of Carol, and I think everybody was agreed upon. Said, okay, yeah, if one person can do that, then it should be Carol. So yeah, great that you can talk about the topic, Carol. So I would say I think you have to share your other screen, because it seems that you are presenting now your presentation screen, and or you're
I
not
have
the.
the wrong one.
Yeah, I'm checking here on my other. You're showing the presentation one, so you have to show the or at least your presenter one and not the presentation one. So you have to switch in the share screen to the other screen, then it will be okay.
Okay, let me see how to do that. It worked before. This is always interesting.
Yeah,
Technology challenges.
now if you just go to share screen, there will be another one that will be. I cannot check it because otherwise I will take over the control. But if you go to share screen, there's one in your presentation mode with the two screens, and one will be your second screen. So that if you can share that one, then it will be okay.
Okay, let's try that again.
Yeah, I practiced this 100 times. This is it.
Did this work?
This
I
works.
did I'll just share, we have in the United States, we have something called the Great American Teach-In, which I'm always thrilled to do every year. And it's when industry people go into classrooms. And for me, it's a chance to share the idea that STEM, software, technology, engineering, and now A for art, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math are important. And with our kids partially at home and partially in schools, it was now a virtual thing. And it was very interesting to be presenting to kids in classrooms, and some who were at home and their parents were walking by. And I was just glad that everybody was always decent. So it's an interesting times, and I'm pleased to be here and see so many familiar people and have so many people in the background. And it's also an absolute thrill to kind of be involved with ICEAA and Nesma and IFPUG and so many advancing technology groups that are dedicated to professionalism. We see a lot of things in the world with people not necessarily being so professional, but ICEAA, Nesma, IFPUG, all of the groups that I'm involved in just seems to be highly professional these days. And to be involved in the software cost estimation body of knowledge is kind of a bit of a dream come true. It brings in my project management expertise, my function point expertise, and ISO standards, and all of the things. And it's been a great experience working with some really good people. So I'm excited to share this with you. And software sizing is really the cornerstone for ICEA's new software cost estimation body of knowledge. So a little bit about me. You can read it or you can take a look at it later. Eric, thank you for your kind introduction and inviting me here. So a little bit about ICEAA, ICEAA, International Cost Estimation and Analysis Association, a little bit of history. It started out way back in 1960 with its roots in industrial estimating. The Industrial Estimation Society of San Diego in 1960 became the National Estimating Society in '66, joined with something called the Institute for Cost Analysis in 1981, and together they formed something called SCEA, Software Cost Estimation and Analysis, or Software Cost Estimation Association, I believe it was, or I'm messing that up, Society of Cost Estimating and Analysis, SCEA. And SCEA still somewhat operates in terms of SCAF in Britain, but it's a organization that is part and parcel now of ICEAA. So I remember going to ICEAA SCEA conferences years ago and meeting Barry Beam out of the University of Southern California and a lot of the people who are now involved in ICEAA. There was also a price users group that sprung up in 1977, which became the International Society of Parametric Analysts, which was called ICEAA. And ICEAA and SCEA formally joined together in 2012 to form ICEAA. So the mission statement of ICEAA is to be, number one, it's a not-for-profit 501c6, which is our, within the United States, Internal Revenue Service, or a taxation. It's a 501c6 international nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing, encouraging, promoting, and enhancing the profession of cost estimation and analysis through the use of parametrics and other data-driven techniques. So we've got members that are throughout the world. And in the United States, there's a high percentage of people that are members currently who are from some of the companies you may recognize worldwide, companies like Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Tekelodi, some of the major firms that are really leading the way in cost estimation, but not necessarily in software. So they're doing the F-35s and the Boeing Max and those huge programs. And they're very, very good. And ICEAA has been instrumental in certifying cost estimators and analysts in the areas of hardware and facilities and all of these massive systems, but not so much in the software area. One little treat for any of you that want to see, or you want to have a departure from watching Netflix, you might want to go to the ICEAA website where you can download papers and you can actually watch live presentations of the past 12 years of work at ICEAA. Even though ICEAA didn't come into being until 2012, there are presentations from ICEAA SCEA conferences, and some of those are absolutely phenomenal. They're like documentaries on cost estimation, and you'll learn a lot from that. So anybody can go there, download or watch these videos. So what does ICEAA really do? Well, there's a couple of ICEAA products. Number one is the SCEBoK, the Cost Estimation Body of Knowledge, which is really the flagship for ICEAA. It serves as the foundation for two of its certifications. And CCEA is the Certified Cost Estimator / Analyst. And the PCEA is kind of the younger sister or younger brother, which is the Professional Cost Estimator or Analyst. Those two are administered through an exam. To get a CCEA, you need 5 years of experience and complete both parts 1 and parts 2 of the exam and pass successfully. Your certification is good for 5 years, and you can recertify by taking the exam again or through a point system. For the PCEA, which I said was the kind of the younger sister, you only have to have 2 years of experience in a related field such as finance, accounting, actuarial, those types of things, and cost estimating. It is like I said, a 2-year requirement of qualifications. And it's a passing only part 1 of the exam. It's good for 3 years, and then you can recertify by retaking the exam. And the intention is that PCEAs ascend to a CCEA. And there's one module in the current cost estimation body of knowledge on software cost estimation. So we're really excited that the software cost estimation body of knowledge, or software SCEBoK, is launching in 2021. The project was started, as Eric mentioned, in 2015 with ICEAA, SCEBoK, and Nesma. And in 2016 to 2017, the software certification curriculum working group was established, and 7 modules out of the original, what eventually became 16 modules, were presented at an ICEAA conference. 2018 to 2019, this blossomed out to being 16 modules. And in 2020, the ICEAA Board of Directors partnered with the US Department of Defense, our Defense Acquisition University, or DAU, to use some established materials, which had a very good cadence moving from one lesson to the other, and was very, very successful within the Defense Acquisition University. So we've acquired those materials as the basis and bringing in the established materials from the Software SCEBoK that Eric and many others have worked on over the past several years. We've set up a formal Software SCEBoK review group that consists of members from Nesma, Technology, Gallereth, Boeing, Price Systems, CGI, MITRE, Kinetic, and I was hired as the project manager. So there's a planned release and presentation of the SCEBoK content in Minneapolis, which I believe may be completely virtual, but that's still exciting. So SCEBoK goals, the Software SCEBoK goals, if I can just spend a minute going over this, is to factually and objectively present a variety of software sizing methods. We are purposely being agnostic about this. And some people may step back and say, hey, Carol, you know what? It should be functional sizing all the way. And if you listen to Capers Jones, he'll tell you that source lines of code, that is heresy, that's professional malpractice. Well, I beg to differ, because there's some very, very, very successful projects that have been done and programs that have been done based on effective source lines of code. Sure, pulling out source lines of code and saying 5 million, 10 million, 14 million, 85 million, and I've got a mix of languages and things. Yeah, that's probably negligent. But there's some really great data and some awesome databases that have been established with great normalization to be able to allow people with established good databases and good data to be able to actually draw their own conclusions about SLOC, or source lines of code. So we're not saying that you cannot use source lines of code. That would essentially disown parts of the world that are doing things that are very, very good. So we're factually and objectively presenting a variety of software sizing methods, and functional sizing is a big part of that. We're definitely advocating that software sizing based on functionality, based on function points, is a step forward. And once we gather data and get that going, I think the world's going to move slowly in that direction. We want to also deliver unbiased content for an international audience. So this is good news for a lot of you listening in. It's not going to be based on US government. While we do spend an awful lot of money developing standards and developing guidebooks, these are going to be available to the rest of the world, especially the ones from places like our Government Accountability Office. So we say it's our taxpayer dollars at work. You'll get the benefits of these best practices without having to pay tax dollars. That's kind of a bonus for anybody who lives outside the United States. We're going to provide users with an understanding of best practices in software engineering and software estimating to complement and enhance the cost estimation body of knowledge, cost estimates and analysis. We also want to provide some guidance to the essential considerations in software cost estimating. When I got into this, I have to admit, I didn't realize what a profession cost estimation actually was. So I came from the project management, the function point analysis world of measurement, and came into this and thought, okay, how hard could it be to do software cost estimating? How can people actually have this as a career? I'm learning a lot, and I'm quite happy to say there's a lot more rigor, a lot more science, and a lot more fact-based data that goes into cost estimation and doing it from a professional point of view. So what's our target audience? Well, commercial organizations, a lot of the organizations who are represented at this conference today, original equipment manufacturers or OEMs, government organizations, and not just governments in the United States or in the Netherlands, but governments around the world. I consult to the government of Malaysia, and they're very interested in this. We've got organizations around the world who are dealing with the same issues of software cost estimation and with getting reliable and realistic estimates on which to base our software programs and projects. Consulting firms who need to prepare requests for proposal responses, the bids, the quasi-government organizations, such as federally funded research and development centers and academic institutions. We're not a one-size-fits absolutely everybody in the world, but these selected groups of people are the ones that are really in our target market. So where does SCEBoK fit in the course of Software SCEBoK? Well, Software SCEBoK will be an extension of our cost estimation body of knowledge, which, as I mentioned, is really the flagship foundation. The Software SCEBoK will only be available as an add-on purchase to the cost estimation body of knowledge. And there's so much really good information there on data normalization, data analysis, best techniques, statistics. I didn't realize how much statistics I'd forgotten, and I'm relearning. References and links will cross between the core SCEBoK lessons and the Software SCEBoK modules. We don't want to reinvent the wheel because the Software SCEBoK really builds on top of the foundation that the cost estimation body of knowledge built for us. So we've got 6 lessons right now, plus an extra 2, and this is expanding a little bit. It's a bigger project than I had ever imagined, and I know some of the people on the call here and on the conference are with me on that. So lesson 1 is really to set the stage, the importance of software cost estimation in the world. What does it mean to a cost estimator who has no idea about software? Lesson 2, we get into the software development paradigms. We take a look at the predictive paradigm of being waterfall, and then we take a look at the agile paradigm, which involves Scrum and SAFe and Spotify and all of those types of things. And that really sets a foundation for people who don't know anything about software, who think it's the same as hardware, to know really what we're doing and what happens and what are the important cost estimation criteria and considerations when you're looking at the different software development paradigms. We then get into lesson 3, where we present the SCEBoK, Software SCEBoK 5-step estimating process. We then have lesson 4, which is actually to create a development estimate. Lesson 5 takes a look at something we call software sustainment. And software sustainment is a bigger piece than software maintenance. And we position software maintenance within the context of software sustainment. Why do we do that? Well, there's a lot of companies in the world, both commercial and governmental, who need to have a total software lifecycle cost. And software lifecycle costing involves sustainment, meaning that you've got the entire IT infrastructure. But then you may only need to do a software maintenance estimate. So in that case, we're taking a look at the perfective and the other types of maintenance that we've got on. We've got lesson 6, which is going to address software procurement and packaged software. We've got a lesson Z, which is going to be commercial estimating models. And Colin Hammond will be probably very pleased to hear that we're going to be featuring Scope Manage. We're also featuring a product from the United States called Cadence. So we're highlighting some of the advancements in the marketplace of commercial estimating models. We've got a lesson that is specifically dedicated to software size, and we've got one on productivity. Productivity is a lot more difficult, a lot more concentrated, and has a lot more cans of worms that we open than just saying the word productivity. So software is increasingly embedded in absolutely everything, and this is part of lesson 1. We're going to be talking about how the Internet of Things and how pieces of software, even though it may be a very small piece of a program, can absolutely influence the cost, the schedule, and the effort that goes into the entire program. Have you ever heard of a project being delayed not because it's a software project, but because there was a component of software that was not yet ready. Those are some of the things we'll talk about. Why cost and schedule growth occur. And we're going to be taking a look at a number of different areas, especially in software growth. Not only do source lines of code grow, but as you know, anybody who's involved in functional sizing, functional size can grow. So the 5-step SCEBoK estimating process that we're going to be presenting is step 1, sets the definition and planning, and that includes a scope. Why are we doing the estimate? What type of estimate? Is it a life cycle costing estimate? Is it a response to a quote? Are we doing a bid preparation? Step 2 is data collection, normalization, and analysis. Once we know what we're going to be estimating, and that's part of the problem. Sometimes we don't know what we're estimating, or we've got mixed definitions. Step 2 says, okay, what do we have at our disposal? What do we have for historical data? Do we have ice bags? Or in the United States, do we have the CADE databases? What do we have that we can take a look and compare our project to a similar project or set of projects? Then step 3 is preparing a point estimate. What kind of estimating techniques can we use? And we're going to be taking a look at analogies, custom and generalized cost estimating relationships, expert opinion, and other methods, depending on what you've got at your disposal. We're then going to take a look at sensitivity, risk, and uncertainty analysis, and then doing a formal documentation presentation. Now that's 5 steps, but we're not done there. We have to actually update the estimate as more information is known. Everyone's aware of the cone of uncertainty, that if we're way up front, it's like being 35,000 feet in the air and having to estimate something exactly. We need to be able to update our estimates, collect the data, and make sure that we're starting to build a database and a collection of information like Metri has, like IceBags has, to be able to build better estimates going forward. Software estimates are part of the program estimate. When you take a look at a software-intensive program, software generally does not hang off as a single standalone piece of the system. It's usually part of a larger system or a program. So we've taken a look and said, okay, the software piece, the software lifecycle pieces that software SCEBoK can help with are the software development estimate, software procurement, and software sustainment. And that's where our lessons really fit in. So our lesson on software size, lesson X I'm calling it right now, is functional size, and we take a look at IFBUG, Nesma, Cosmic, simple function points, object points, use case points, and counts of requirements. We also take a look at what Agile uses as relative effort sizing in story points, how it works, how it doesn't work, things to watch out for. What are effective source lines of code? We're also looking at accounting for reused and adapted code. Whereas when you take a look at a function point count, we don't care in the function point world whether it's new, changed, deleted, adapted, reused packages in our function point counts. But you know what? If I'm going to do a cost estimate, I absolutely have to take that into consideration. How I'm building it makes a difference to my cost and my effort and my schedule. So we're going to take a look at that. We also look at other considerations and rules of thumb. And for a software cost estimator, we're never going to expect them to be a function point, certified function point specialist or an expert in that area, but they need to be able to ask questions about that software size that's presented to them so that they can make salient decisions on the best way of doing a cost estimate based on our software size. Software size is really the cornerstone. I know we don't always have it available to us, but software size is really the cornerstone to productivity and sizing. We've got some solid estimating techniques we're going to be presenting. Estimated effort depends on really a realistic assertion or some type of estimate of how big is this thing that we're estimating. The cost and schedule then depend on realistic effort estimates, which is based on size. So this kind of all rolls in together. We start with a realistic estimate of the size. That then gives us using the estimating techniques, a realistic effort estimate, which we can then turn into a cost estimate and a schedule or calendar year type estimate based on realistic effort. We have robust software sizing that is critical to our estimating success. Here's the good news. The good news for measurement practitioners and cost estimators. Software SCEBoK provides career growth for measurement practitioners who are not software estimating experts. So if you are really good at software measurement, you're good at statistics, you're good at data analysis, this is an opportunity to become a software cost estimator and get certified. If you are a cost estimator and you really know nothing about or little about software, this is an opportunity to expand your breadth of knowledge and become a certified software cost estimator. Software SCEBoK is going to provide growth for professionalism in software cost estimation, no matter which side of the fence you may stand on today. So I'm not sure if I'm at my time, Eric, but I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. And wherever you are in the world, I hope everyone stays well and has a great rest of your year. And I look forward to the next presentation as well. Do we have questions, Eric?
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot, Carol, for the clear presentation. I think that, yeah, where you started, I think it's a great opportunity that the communities and organizations are working together on these kind of topics. And I think it's really a game changer to have this kind of certification in the market. There are actually two questions, and we have 2 minutes left. The one question is from Babu who said, okay, there is already a software estimation part in the SCEBoK. So what is actually the difference between what's in the SCEBoK and actually what you just presented in the SCEBoK?
Well, and that's a great question. The cost estimation body of knowledge is generic and is intended to address the issues of hardware, facilities, things commoditized, and software is really a lot different. So the module 12, which is in the current cost estimation body of knowledge, will be updated. But what we're doing here is essentially taking a small piece and expanding that out to include some of the salient things that we need to know about. Things like software sizing. That's not an easy topic that you can discuss in 5 minutes. So where the cost estimation body of knowledge had a 1-hour module on the software cost estimation body, we have now, it's going to be probably a 5-day full-scale 5-day course on the software cost estimation body of knowledge. So I hope that answers it. I see that Lonnie Franks is asking, and hey Lonnie, nice to see you here. Well, should we be presenting function point analysis to STEM students? Hey, that's probably not a bad idea, especially if they're in science, technology, engineering, math, with a technology portion of it. That's probably not a bad idea to be able to bridge the non-software and the software world. I certainly would not want it taught as a technical thing or an exact thing that has 2 decimal places, because then people are going to say, well, it's just like math. And I'm not sure we really want to. This is our best marketplace. But when I teach STEM, I actually tell kids in the United States, I say, you know what kids in India and Japan do on Saturday mornings? And they look at me and they go, especially elementary kids, video games or sleep in. And I go, no, they're going to school. And they go, what? Why would they ever do that? And I say, well, they want to get the good paying jobs. And they go, what? I say, well, you want to get some really good paying jobs? Here's how you do it.
Good. Thanks a lot, Carol, for answering the questions. One question left, but it's not on the Q&A, but we probably can do that later. So thanks for your presentation. Yeah, we also already saw Dan coming into the screen. So from one background in water and other background in the water. So that welcome, Dan. It's great to have you here. Yeah, for the people that doesn't know them, there will not be many of them, but I think the name is already mentioned several times during the presentation. Actually, the last name of Dan Kellerud, the CEO, founder of the Kellerud company, and one of the tool providers, with other providers that are on the market. Yeah, there is around 40 years of experience in